Hey, this is Leslie with Comfortable Shoes Studio, and welcome to Art Journaling 21 Gel Prints in the Art Journal. A couple of people have asked, how can you use a gel plate? What are some of the uses? One of the things that I really like to do, especially with smaller gel plates, is print them directly into my art journal. I really like the surface texture that they create. And so here I'm pressing the bottom of a box into the inked up or painted up surface of the gel plate. And I'm letting that dry. So this takes a little patience. I did clip out the extended period of time. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes for the paint to dry, lesser amounts depending on how much paint you have on the plate. And so I'm using Liquitex Basics. I find I get really good results with Liquitex Basics. And this particular color combination is really soft. Um, I like copper with yellows and gold colors underneath, as well as like reds. It's really warm and nice. And so I'm going to take that double print, so it's a layered print, and I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put it into my art journal. I do leave one of the sheets of acetate on all of my gel plates because it lets me pick it up and handle it and place it into my sketchbook. I usually will put on a larger sheet of acetate eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So yeah, so then here again, you just let it sit. I learned this technique of letting it sit from Yates Makes. Again, big shout out to that guy. His stuff is fantastic. Love his channel. So you let it sit again another 5 minutes or so. These are thin layers, not super heavy layers. Um, I always keep a paper underneath uh, when I'm doing gel prints, and I roll off my roller. You saw me do that in the lower right corner here. Now while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm gonna do an oil pastel, or get ready to do an oil pastel resist. Um, and so an oil pastel resist, you do a drawing on cheap copy paper, something that's nice and absorbent. And use cheap oil pastels for this. Don't use something expensive. Nice cheap oil pastels are pretty fatty, so they have a nice oil base that resists the acrylic paint pretty well. And of course, I'm going in with a skull because I draw skulls all the time. As my go-to for demonstrating and sketching something. So then I'm gonna overlay it. This is a technique I've been working on to test out. So the next layer of color is I'm thinking about my bright colors, so I'm going back over those black lines with the yellow, and then I'm putting in where I want the highlights to be. But you gotta go over everything you've already done and add in more. And I'm gonna overlay it again. It's easier to see with dark colors, so I switch over to dark colors. Because one of the things that I found with this technique is that if you don't block out the colors that you previously put onto your plate with the oil pastel, it's going to lift those as well. So again, I'm covering everything that I had down before. It's getting a little off, a little funky, and I'm looking through. I should get a light box or something for at home, but who has the time or the money? I have one at work. I can always demonstrate this with a light box at work. So, and I'm just filling up that skull shape. So each one of these layers is going to be a different color of paint. And this is not my most successful version of this, but it's a good demonstration. The other thing with this is that all these little pieces, once they get all covered in paint, or these sheets of paper, you can use them for collage material too. And you really want to get on a good, thick, heavy coat of the uh, oil pastel for the resist. I find that it works best if I'm pushing down hard. So these are also very, very inexpensive oil pastels from Walmart. The Daler Rowney. So they're relatively inexpensive. I've also done it with other brands of oil pastels, the typical crayons and things like that. Those work too. Those work great. What you don't want to use is a water soluble or a washable version, something that's specifically made for kids not to stain their clothing. So here's the reveal, pulls it off. Now that's a nice smooth surface that I can add collage onto. I can write on. Again, gel plate inside a sketchbook or art journal is fantastic. Just gives you like really, really nice surface. So here I'm lifting the black. I'm using a fair amount of pressure here, not a huge amount. This I really dislike this black paint on the gel plate. I've had nothing but problems with it. It's the Artist Loft from Michaels. Um, Rolling off onto a sheet of paper. Usually I'll do this like directly into a sketchbook. Um, and then I'm going to pick up the plate and place it on that oil pastel, rub that oil pastel down, and there you can see it left behind the yellow where the oil pastel was. Give it a second or two to dry. Though these are very, very thin layers of paint on here. The only way for this to be successful, I'm getting a little black lift from my wet roller. I like that. That works for me. So now I'm gonna again drop that on there, rub it down. Not too much pressure. I'm probably using too much pressure here. And then it left behind a little bit of orange. You can see it lifted a little bit of the black. Getting some magenta. Again, nothing but problems with this Artist Loft paint. I will not buy it for gel printing ever again. It does not work particularly well. Again, lifting and dropping. So all of these little pieces can be used for collage. I was looking at it there. I lifted a bunch of the black. So now I'm debating what color I want to put over this magenta. I'm thinking color opposites. I'm thinking similar colors, and I'm going with a minty green, a light teal. And I'm looking for a better coverage. So one of the things when you do these transfer techniques, you're always looking to be able to see your previous image through your paint that you're applying on. So that was a really good transfer. And some viney stuff around the skull. And now I'm going to use a final color. So the best bet here would have been to use something like white instead of a dark color to make that skull pop. Instead, I'm using a darker blue. This is a turquoise blue from Liquitex Basics. I get good results when I am transferring or using it on the gel plate. It is my favorite paint for the gel plate. I do like some of the effects you can get with stuff like the golden liquids or the fluid paints or the inks. So then I'm going to just drop this right into my art journal. So something you can do with this is like you can do a transparent layer and drop it over an image or a drawing to add background color. You can use masks. I'm going to do a full exploration of this through a series of videos. But I just wanted to get us started on this conversation about what can you do in an art journal with a gel plate, because it's so versatile. Probably the better question is what can't you do? What are the things that you can't do with a gel plate in an art journal? And for some reason, I left this part in real time. I think probably just as an example of how long it takes. You really do want to wait at least 2 or 3 minutes to get a good transfer with this technique. The thicker the layers of paint, the longer you want to wait. And so here no, we're going to wait another minute. But anyway, thank you for watching and being patient as I process these videos. I'd rather put out something that is good than something subpar. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you to my fan who sent me this 5x7 plate. It is a fantastic size for using in your art journal. So thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to make it awkward. Head on over to Ko-fi and buy me a coffee. Thanks, everyone. Bye.